All right. Hopefully we are live. Says I'm live now, so this is really cool. This is my first time actually using this new webinar software, so hopefully everyone can hear me. If you don't mind, if everyone could just maybe, if you have the chat feature, if you could just let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay, and yeah. But thank you guys so much for joining me this evening for the webinar. How to improve your credit profile and credit scores the quickest. Carolyn, thank you so much. Very, very cool. So now I got to make sure that the PowerPoint piece works. Yes, it does. Look at this. So cool. Let me just grab that. And then boom. All right. I believe we should be good to go. If you guys could. Oh, Chris. Hey, Chris. How you doing? Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. Hopefully you should now see maybe a smaller version of me in the corner and then my PowerPoint presentation, how to improve your credit profile the quickest. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes to allow other people to jump on here. It's just now 7:01, but I won't wait that long because I really appreciate everyone jumping on here, and we'll get started very soon. So very excited about this evening. I really appreciate your time, and I have no doubt you guys will gain a lot of value from this webinar tonight that you can take in your own program, whether you're working with Credilife directly or you're in one of our groups or whatever it is. I know you're going to get a lot of value from this webinar, and I'll have a lot of cool things for you guys in this webinar to go over that's going to help you take back your buying power and start really understanding this process better. So regardless of where you're at in the process yourself, you know, anything that we go over here this evening is going to help you. That's why I'm so excited to be doing this for you. So, oh, let's see. Unique is saying something about sound distorted. So hopefully, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully that's just not happening to everyone. So I'll just continue to talk and let me know if you're still having issues. Mine is fine. Yeah, I can't hear anything. I'm good. Okay, so maybe mess around with your guys' options. I'm not quite sure. It looks like everyone's having a little bit different results right now when it comes to the webinar. So hopefully you guys can figure it out. And yeah, so perfect. So I'm going to get started. We have quite a few people jumping on right now. And once again, very, very excited to be doing this. Hopefully sound and things like that get a little bit better along the way. Sounds fine. Okay, cool. Madeline, thank you so much. But great, let's get started. So how to improve your credit profile the quickest. And once again, regardless of where you found this webinar, whether it's from our Facebook group, Free Credit Repair Advice, or our Credilife group, or one of the posts or shares or an email, whatever it is, once again, you're going to get a lot of value out of this tonight in helping you where you're at. Let me see real quick. We'll go to the next step. Okay, perfect. So the first thing that I want everyone to say out loud, if you could right now, is I want you to say, this isn't credit repair. This is about buying power. This is about you getting back your buying power, okay? I truly do not like the term credit or debt. Obviously, that's the industry I'm in. But the reason why is there's a lot of negative connotations to that. A lot of times when people think of credit or debt, it's negative, it weighs you down. I want us to just push that off to the side. I want to start looking at this process as you taking back your buying power, okay? So what we're going to go over tonight is 5 different things that's going to help you do that, okay? Now, the first one is online credit monitoring. We're going to go over that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on online credit monitoring, but I will say, regardless, once again, if you're working with Credilife directly or if you are doing a DIY plan yourself, you need to have the proper online credit monitoring tool, and I'll explain why, okay? Next, I'm going to go over investigation. So this is the repair, okay? Investigation, what that means, why it works, how it works, and being able to help you guys figure that piece out. Then we're going to go over credit building. Now, credit building, it's not a one-size-fits-all type situation, okay? what you will find is that there's a lot of different options out there. And what I want people to understand about credit building is I want you to understand that it's a process, right? If you're coming in at this with low or poor or fair credit, you have to understand that there's certain types of accounts that you'll want to obtain when you're in that phase. But as you improve, you're going to be able to get better accounts along the way. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that and how to strategically build your credit in a way where you're not doing that shotgun approach and just getting whatever you can. You're going to get things that graduate with you or are just used as tools to help you get to the next level. Now, after that, we're going to go over debt management. So debt management to me means a few different things. That could be debt settlement or debt negotiation. That could also mean debt management when it comes to budgeting or debt reduction. So we're going to go over a few things there as well with debt management. And then the last thing we're going to go over is mindset. And that truly does go a long way in this process. And the reason why I like to talk about that is when you have gone through an issue in the past, whether it be an event that happened like bankruptcy, medical situation, divorce, man, you name it. There's a lot of different things that can happen in someone's life that can lead to having bad credit. Or it could have just been not understanding credit as you were growing up and not, fully understanding the impact of what having bad credit can do to you and how much it can hinder you in your buying power. So mindset, because you are dealing with that, because you're dealing with credit, because you're dealing with finances, a lot of times it's easier to get frustrated in this process. So I want to make sure and help you guys get your mind right so that way you stay focused on your goal. Okay. All right, perfect. So first thing we're going to go over, online credit monitoring. I want you guys to look at online credit monitoring as awareness. You got to be aware. You need to understand and know what's going on. All right. So, with that being said, the preferred option from Credilife is going to be the smartcredit.com/Credilife. So that's Credit Life without the T. That's the name of our company. Now, the reason why we have this as our preferred option is a few different reasons. One, and I'll explain why I like it so much. One, it allows you to access a detailed 3-bureau credit report. That's the most important thing. When you are working on your credit, when it comes to repairing the past and building for the future, you have to know what's actually happening on the credit report. And you have to know what's happening on all 3 major credit bureaus. And you also need to have more data. All right. This is the reason why Credit Karma doesn't really work for that. One, Credit Karma is just 2 bureaus. And the other thing, it's more of a detailed summary. It's not truly a detailed history. So that's the difference. You want to make sure you have all 3 bureaus and that detailed history so you can be aware of what's happened in your past, what we got to work on in your past, and how we're moving forward in the future, okay? Another reason why I like Smart Credit and what we've created with them is it allows us to do a single bureau pull, unlimited, so multiple times throughout the month while you're waiting for, like, let's say, an investigation round to go through. So at Credilife, when we talk about rounds, what I mean is when an investigation is initiated, when you send out letters, to challenge negative information on your credit report, typically between mail time, processing, and the 30-day legal timeline of a dispute, roughly that takes 40 to 45 days. Okay, so that's a round. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't pull a 3-bureau report too early, like let's say 30 days out, when you really want to be pulling a 3-bureau report roughly every 40 and 45 days. So that way, when you do an updated credit report, you'll be able to see all the changes that have happened from the repair process, how your consumer scores have changed, and anything that you're doing with debt management and credit building, how that's impacting your credit profile. But what's nice is, let's say something happened in the middle of a round and you're just curious what's going on. Well, with Smart Credit, you can do a single bureau report pull that there's no negative impact to that in any of this, but it just makes you, again, more aware. So if you want to do a pull 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, you can do that without any issue and without it hindering pulling a 3-bureau report too early. Okay, so it's really important. Anyone that's gone through this, there's nothing more frustrating than pulling a 3-bureau report too early and not having a full scope of actually what happened. So that's the reason why I bring that up. The last thing I want to go over, and hopefully you guys can see this on the left-hand side. It's on the left-hand side of my screen. Is Smart Credit also includes a budgeting app. And I really like this. It's called Money Manager. So you guys have to understand, I'm sure you already are aware of this, but credit is very much tied to your financial security or financial future, right? So with that, with more of that financial wellness aspect of things, you want to be aware of how you're spending your money. And so that's what's really cool about this app as well, and the software, is it allows you to actually check, link up your accounts to see your spending habits, with your checking and savings accounts. It actually will link up with any of your credit cards. You can set alerts to remind you to make your payments on time. I mean, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with this. That's another reason why I promote this site and why we directly work with Smart Credit, is because it gives you what you need to be aware when it comes to your credit, being aware about the credit repair, what's happening, what's changing. You can do the single bureau pulls throughout the month. And then last thing, you can be more aware when it comes to your money management, all in one spot. So it's really, really cool. All right, cool. Now let's get to the investigation. So to me, investigation means repair, right? We're repairing our past. Something happened in our past that is causing a negative impact today when it comes to your credit, and we got to work on it, right? Another way that I look at this is a lot of times someone's credit report does not necessarily indicate how that person is today as a borrower. That's the reason why a lot of people start to work on their credit, is because they know it's like, hey, maybe you want to be approved for mortgage, right? And you're renting right now, and you're like, you know what? I'm paying $1,500 a month in rent. I have two kids. I have a wife. We're able to afford this, but we just don't have that much space. But I'm making my rent payment on time every single month. I have money to work with, or whatever it is. You're starting to realize that you can afford a mortgage, right? So technically, if you think about it for yourself personally, your credit may not accurately reflect who you are as a borrower today. But the reality is, lenders and banks utilize FICO when it comes to your credit score, and the credit bureaus for the data, the history, and that's how they make their lending decisions. So we need to understand that, know that, and work on that. So when you think about your history, if there are any late payments, if there are collections, if there's charged off accounts, if you have a judgment, whatever it is, a tax lien, child support lien, whatever it is, anything that can show risk, your scores will be negatively impacted for that, because at one point in your past, you've shown the inability to, make payments on time or whatever it is. So therefore, you're a higher risk, and they either deny you for certain lending, or they're going to charge you more, right? They're going to make money off you. And so it's important that we repair that. The goal is to repair as much as we can from our past to kind of help eliminate that negative data, while also building for the future, which that'll be the credit building side we'll talk about in a bit, in debt management. So the one thing I want everyone to understand when it comes to investigation is, one, it's your legal right to investigate information on your report. I don't think that's something that we talk about enough, and I'd love to touch on it more. I don't want to get into the technicalities too much and the laws as to why, but the reality is, within the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it is your right to challenge information on your credit report. And the reason why is that when information is reported to the credit bureaus, that information isn't technically verified. The bureaus are like a large data warehouse. They're constantly taking in data every single day on all the different consumers. And they're not, if you think about it, I mean, just take a step back and think about this honestly. Have you ever received a phone call from Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion? It's never happened, right? It's because it's not their job to get information and call you and say, hey, you know what? I noticed that there's a collection on your report now. Is this true? Did this happen? What's going on? That's not their job. They take in data. They sell data. They're for-profit businesses. It's like Nike, Reebok, Adidas. That's how you got to look at them. They're in the business of data, selling data for a fee. So because of that, and the reason why, because of knowing that, that's why laws are put in place to protect you as a consumer, but really they're putting the responsibility on you as a consumer to challenge information that may be potentially inaccurate. And so when I talk about that, I'm not saying that certain things didn't happen to you in your life. If you went through a hardship and things happened, that happened in theory, yes. but it does not mean the information is accurate and verifiable as of today. That's the key. You got to look at it that way. It's about making sure and putting the onus back on the credit bureaus and the creditors and collection companies to make sure they can verify the information as of today. And one thing, I'll talk about that before I get into the investigation process itself. This really hits home for a lot of people. When they hear that, they don't fully understand. They're like, well, that happened, and it's I get it. It's hard at first to take that in. But the way that you want to look at that is collections. A lot of people have gone through collections. Collections get bought and sold frequently. On average, it's like 3 to 6 months. So a collection company gets a debt from T-Mobile, let's say. They're calling you, they're sending you mail, they're sending you information, trying to collect on that debt, right? Well, if they don't collect on that debt in a certain amount of time, there is definitely a high probability that they'll either sell that debt to another wholesale collection company, a debt buyer, or if they were a third-party collection company and they retained in a contract scenario with the original creditor, they'll go back to the original creditor, their contract's done, that original creditor then also sends it out to another collection company. The most important thing to understand about this right now is that it changes hands. So if you think about it, this is actually quite common. If you have gone through a situation of having collections, it is not uncommon at all that the collection that is on the report that's been reported in the past, that specific company may no longer even have the debt today. So think about it. Is that accurate as of today? No. So those type of things is what I'm talking about. That's why it's so powerful to exercise your legal rights as a consumer and do this strategically to repair your past. It doesn't mean 100% of everything goes away. Doesn't mean anything is guaranteed to be deleted. It's not how it works, but it is definitely in your best interest to exercise your rights to investigate and challenge information in a way to put the onus back on the credit bureaus and the creditors or collection companies to have them verify the specifics of what it is that you're challenging, something within the history of that account. And at any point, they're unable to verify. That's when the credit bureaus deem the information no longer verifiable. It's now unverifiable, and that's why they permanently delete that off your credit report, because they can no longer sell it. They can no longer sell that information. It's now deemed as not verified. So that is the key. That's what we're talking about now with repairing the past. So it's really important that you guys understand. Now, for any of you that are in our free credit repair advice group, definitely utilize the section called units. In the units section, we have information on credit building. We also have information on letters and investigation. In there, I actually created a video course on credit repair specific to the investigation process and letters, and we provide to you for free vetted investigation dispute letters that you can use for your own program if that's something that you're wanting to do. So it's very important knowing that you're going to have direct credit bureau investigation letters, and you're also going to have direct creditor letters, is how I reference that, direct creditor. And that could be a 609 letter, whatever it is. There's different ways or different letters for certain purposes. So make sure to check that out and take advantage of that. And that's what I'm talking about. The video course is called Taking Back Your Buying Power. I don't know if you can see my cursor on here highlighting that, but that's the video course within Free Credit Repair Advice. So take advantage of that. If you are not in that group, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to have a link to that group. If anyone can put that in, I don't know. I think Mark's on. Mark, thank you so much for joining. If you don't mind, put a link into our free credit repair advice group. So that way, if someone's not in that group yet, they can join for free, and then they can do that video course and access those vetted investigation letters to help them with their credit repair. Now, I know we're talking about collections, so I want to kind of hone in on that a little bit more, just because I want you to understand there's a little bit specific to Credilife and our methodology. It always makes sense to first investigate, to potentially delete, and then go and settle for less than full balance when it comes to a collection, okay? And so typically, if that collection company is not aggressively pursuing you, like they're not trying to pursue you in a judgment or sue you, essentially, you have time, okay? Now remember, you may or may not know this, but paying on or paying off a collection that is currently reporting will lower your FICO credit scores. It drops it. There is no positive activity on a negative or derogatory debt. So paying on that or paying it off does not mean it's removed. It means it gets updated. That payment activity gets updated. So it's a data loss activity. That activity itself is considered a negative, and it will lower the credit score. So that's important to understand. Now, there are going to be times you got to bite the bullet, but if we are successful in first investigating and challenging and trying to repair that, typically we want to go through 1 to 4 rounds. So remember, it's 1 to 4 rounds of letters before you enter into settlement, meaning 1 to 4 rounds of attempting to try to remove it first. And then if it's removed, negotiate a settlement as soon as you're financially able. Or if you go past 4, that might be a good time to start looking into settlement and then look at post-settlement investigations. But those aren't as effective as pre-settlement investigations. So, that's typically the rule of thumb. Now, there is a difference. If you're doing this on your own and you've gone through 1 to 4 rounds and you're thinking about hiring a professional like Credilife, I wouldn't immediately go and settle. If they're still not aggressively pursuing you, then I would allow Credilife to then work on your behalf and allow our company, because it's really about the structuring of letters. That's where we specialize in, at least in credit repair, is the structure and understanding the different variables that we can use to our advantage in challenging. Definitely keep that in mind, whether you're doing a DIY, do-it-yourself plan, and then you transition to professional, or you continue to do it on yourself. Whatever it is, I want to meet you where you're at. I want to help you. That's all that matters to me. I just want to explain that. So it's a little bit different when it comes to a charged off account or with an original creditor. That's what I'm talking about here. Rule of thumb is to investigate any original creditor charged off account 1 to 4 times before settlement, just like the collection. But I want everyone to understand that it is more difficult to remove a charged off account than it is a collection. A lot of times when an original creditor still has that information or still pursuing that debt, they're going to be more active in verifying these challenges that are coming through to keep that on your report. They're just going to be more motivated to do that. Collections, it's a little bit different. There's more laws that we can use to our advantage in the structure of our letters. So a lot of times the success of removing a collection is more than a charged off account. Now, anything can be removed in theory. So I'm not saying not to do it. I just want you guys to understand that there's a difference there in the level of difficulty in a charged off account compared to a collection, okay? But in theory, you want to utilize the same methodology, 1 to 4 rounds, and then look into settlement usually, okay? I can't say it's every single time because that's just not how it works. But I like giving you guys some sort of guidance there that you can work off of, a plan that you can effectively work for yourself so you know what's going on and how to get after this, okay? Now, after any settlements, it's definitely in your best interest to do post-settlement investigations if it was not removed prior to that, okay? Now, some of you may be thinking right now, well, what about payment for deletion? That comes up all the time. You have to understand that most companies are not even able to do a payment for deletion. It's typically debt buyers and smaller debt buying collection companies that can do that. And a lot of them still don't. There's laws as to why they can or can't do that. So you have to work within that. Typically what you do is you just ask. I'll talk about that in debt management. I mean, if you ask them that, they're going to tell you if they can do payment for deletion or not. But in most cases, most companies can't. That's the reason why, once again, it makes sense to investigate first and work on repair and then settlement. That's the reason. Because once again, if you're successful in repair, now that account is deleted, it's removed, there's been a positive impact to your overall credit profile, and then you go and negotiate a settlement for less than full balance, you save money, and then you're moving on. That's a true fix is what I call that, okay? It's a true fix. Perfect. All right. Credit building. This is huge. So we've gone over repairing the past, what that means, how to utilize Credilife or our resources with our methodology to help repair. Now I want to talk about credit building. Credit building is your future buying power. I can't stress this enough how important it is to properly build your credit. It's all about building positive data. That's what it comes down to. You're looking to start building and managing accounts in a way that puts you in a much better light and makes you more credible for lenders, less risk. You want to start putting yourself in a less risk category, Okay. Now, the best way to do that for most people, if they're coming into this with either poor or fair credit and they're looking on repairing and rebuilding, typically you're going to want to have 3 to 5 active revolving accounts. So revolving accounts are credit cards and lines of credit. Now, when I say 3 to 5, I'm not saying go out there and get 3 to 5 right away. What I'm saying is that over time, in a few month period, I'd say 3 to 6 month period, you're going to want to strategically build your credit to get to 3 to 5 active revolving accounts in good standing. Okay, so that could be a Finger Hut. Finger Hut is phenomenal for that. It's considered a retail line of credit. They will approve people down to 500 FICO, I believe is what it is, 500 or higher when it comes to your FICO credit score. They have 2 different types. They have the Advantage line of credit, which is their line of credit right away that you can be approved for, or their Fresh Start program, which is awesome. So someone that might be who has poor credit and needs to rebuild again, this is like your second chance, so to speak. It's your fresh start. And so what they'll do is they'll extend you. Typically, it's like $130 or $180. You make that purchase, and once you pay that off, they're going to graduate you to the Advantage line of credit. So it's huge. It actually initially reports as an installment account, but typically within 3 months, you're going to get that puppy back into an Advantage line of credit. It's going to be reporting as a revolving, and now you're building your credit that way. It's awesome. Okay, that's a great option. Hut and Chase is a great option. That's another retail line of credit that you can find, in our group as a resource. Hopefully, can you guys still hear me? Looks like they said lost audio. So hopefully I'll just do a quick pause. Can everyone still hear me? Test, test, test. Okay, awesome. So, okay, good. Everyone can hear. Awesome. Thank you so much. So 3 to 5, and I apologize. It's a new software that I'm using. So I don't know if it's a software issue on my side where certain people are having issues with audio, but hopefully, webinar with internet, it could just be an internet connection on your side too, where it gets messed up. I'm not sure. But I will send out the replay of this into our groups as well. So that way people can take advantage of it. I believe that should work and have the audio recorded the entire time. So, but once again, 3 to 5. Okay. Other great accounts, you're going to have Credit One. I really like Credit One. Typically, when you are let's say you're using a consumer credit report like Smart Credit, Credilife's version, typically you probably want to be around 580 or higher, and you're not going to want to have any previous Credit One charged off accounts. If you do, don't even apply. Capital One has some really good options. They have a secured card that graduates to an unsecured card. So, and what's really cool about that is dependent on your credibility at the time, you might put a lesser secured deposit down and they'll give you a higher unsecured or a limit, which is really nice. Also, there's Discover secured to unsecured. That's a really good option. But I would say in most cases, if you are in a situation of starting in a poor credit standing, I'd be looking at Finger Hut for sure, Hut and Chase for sure, and then either Credit One or Capital One, like a secured option, or the Credit One unsecured. Those are some really strong options if, once again, you're starting in that poor to fair credit standing. As time goes on, once again, I'd aim for around that 3. Then as you start to see that improvement, you're going through the repair process, you're managing these accounts correctly, meaning you're maintaining low balances, right? 1 to 3%. Now, I know there's some people talking about the 1 or the 0 to 9% and the 3 to 9% and the 1 to 3. And what does it mean? Here's the deal. There's multiple different FICO algorithms, different versions. Not in the newer versions, there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to management of revolving accounts and where you should be. Regardless, it's all still good, actually, to be honest with you. But most lenders still utilize older FICO, like mortgage. They typically utilize an older scorecard, and 1 to 3 is still the best. Okay, so if you're truly looking to maximize FICO score improvement potential, 1 to 3% is the best still. Okay, so that means whatever the limit is, you only spend 1 to 3% of what that limit is, and that's it. No more. And then when you get your bill, you pay it off. That's the 1 to 3%. Don't fall into the trap where you're like, well, if you pay it off before the statement closing date, and if you do this and you do that, that's too much work. Don't do that. It's not worth it. A lot of this is down to financial discipline too, and just money management in general. Okay. So credit is not an extension of your income. Credit cards, they're not. They're there to leverage. You're there to leverage credit to get certain things, right? So in this case, we know we're utilizing revolving accounts or credit cards to build and improve your credit score, right? So let's use them that way. So 1 to 3% is the best. Don't put yourself in a position where you think, well, I'm going to use it. I'm just going to use this week, and then I get paid next week, and I'll pay it back down to 1 to 3%, and I should be fine because before the statement closing date. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, 1 to 3%. That's it. Don't spend any more. You get your bill paid off in full. Repeat cycle. Trust me, you will thank me when you get that piece down. And I know it's not something that most people can do overnight. Don't get down on yourself for it. Okay. This takes practice. It really does. You have to start implementing these actions and really making it more of a habit, a financial habit. And once you do that, I mean, that takes time. And that's why I love, when it comes to our clients at Credilife and our coaching and holding them accountable and motivating them. Our groups, our Facebook groups are great for this. Whatever it takes, just know we're all human. We all have to learn how to do this. It takes time. I mean, anything related to credit and finance is typically a big deal, and it takes practice. So don't get down on yourself. There's constant improvement. Make the right changes over time, and I'm telling you, you'll be so thankful you did that. One other thing. So we got 3 to 5 active revolving accounts over time, okay, that you've built up. You're managing low balances. That 1 to 3% is ideal, once again, right, to truly improve credit scores the most. You also want to have at least one installment account. So this is where self-lender could be a really good option, okay? A lot of people have seen self-lender. There is like BMO Harris and other banks throughout the nation. BMO Harris is a local bank to us, Minnesota, in the Midwest. But certain banks have this type of account as well. Really what it comes down to, I like to call it a forced savings account, right? And so what you do with self-lender specifically is you're going to save up to a certain amount. You just pay in monthly. So they're extending you credit, but it's not really anything that you can immediately access. You're paying into an account. But what's nice is every single month that you make your payment, I think it's like basically $25 a month or something like that, it's reporting to all 3 major credit bureaus as an installment account. And then at the end of the term, the 12, 24 month, 36 month, whichever one that you chose, you then get that the majority of that money back. Yes, there's fees tied to it. Yes, obviously they have to make money, but you actually get the majority of that back. And what's nice is it's a forced savings account. So it's a way to save money while also building credit. You want to have at least one installment account in good standing. So installment accounts, once again, are like an auto loan, student loan, that is an installment account, self-lender, something like that. It's more of a fixed term, right? You have a loan amount, you have a monthly payment interest over a certain amount of time. That's installment payments that you're making towards that debt. Revolving is always changing, right? You can use it, pay it back, use it, pay it back. That's how I compare the two. A lot of people in here have a goal of being approved for a mortgage. Well, guess what? When you get to that goal, having a real estate account within your credit profile is huge for the overall credit profile strength. You become, more sought after when it comes to lending, because if you can properly manage a real estate account, making payments on time, you're putting yourself in a really good position to help continue to build your overall credit profile strength over time. And also another reason why that is there's a portion of the FICO algorithm called rank order risk. So basically, the higher the balance, the more important it is. So a lot of times real estate, as you know, is going to be number 1 ranking. So it's another reason why it's so important. It's really, really cool once you get to that point. Now remember, over time, by doing this properly, you are going to get access to better accounts. I'm talking about low interest rates. I'm talking about better rewards, flying miles, cashback rewards, all these things where you can start leveraging credit now. You've gotten back to the good credit standing, to the excellent credit standing, and now you can start having fun again. Not to get into debt. Don't do this and get yourself in a trap, but you're going to have access to better accounts. You got your buying power back. That's what it's all about. You have options again, okay? So that's what it's all about. And it's really about what you want. Maybe you want to travel more and you want to utilize credit in a way to get those miles so you can travel more. That's fine. You want to be approved for a mortgage. That's amazing. You want that new auto loan. You want that new car, but you want low interest rate and low insurance. Booyah. That's awesome. Whatever buying power is to you, that's what we want to do. But when you follow this path in repairing and strategically building, you are going to get access to the better accounts. But you have to understand you don't get it right away. You got to make sure you do this in a path, in a phase building process to then open up your eligibility for these better accounts again over time. So now, if you are working with Credilife directly or you are a part of our Facebook group, I highly recommend you, one, if you're working with us, you come to us before you apply for anything. That's a part of the program. But if you're in the group, ask questions, utilize the resources provided, lean on the professionals to help you make these decisions so you don't end up opening an account that just doesn't make sense for you. The reason why I bring that up is you may see someone post about, hey, self-lender, my score jumped 100 points. That doesn't mean your scores are going to jump 100 points. Not everyone's situation is the same. In fact, most are different. I'd say 98% of everyone is different, meaning they have different history, they have different data. Even though there might be some similarities, when it comes to FICO and your credit, it's just math. It's about data. Everyone is different. So you got to make sure that you're making the choices that are best for you and your credit profile and your buying power, okay? So make sure I would say pump the brakes sometimes, and people get excited. Pump the brakes, reach out to us, reach out to the group, reach out if you're a client, you reach out to the team, the coach, and allow us to help you make that more informed decision so you're constantly making the right decisions moving forward, okay? All right, perfect. Debt management. This is the present. This is your moment, okay? Here are the things that you got to think about that I feel are the most important when it comes to debt management. So one, payment history. I know it sounds simple. You make your payments on time, right? Oh, that's simple. I just make my payments on time. I bring this up just because a lot of times there are people that just aren't used to having multiple accounts. I mean, think about it. You may have started and you had maybe an auto loan, or maybe you had nothing. Now all of a sudden you have a self-lender. You have 3 credit cards. You have this, you have that. I mean, this all takes practice. You're doing something that you haven't been doing for quite some time. So it's not uncommon for people to make mistakes and forget to make a payment on time. 35% of the FICO credit score is solely based on payment history. And remember, it's about risk. So we're not necessarily rewarded for doing what's right, but we are negatively impacted for doing what's wrong severely. Okay? It's just the truth. Yes, we want to do what's right, but we want to avoid anything negative, because anytime we show risk, it's going to hurt you. FICO's going to hurt you. Okay? So you got to make your payments on time. So whatever that means, if you're utilizing Smart Credit and you're utilizing that app when it comes to Money Manager to help make sure you're just getting a sense of how you spend your money, what's coming in, what's going out, set reminders for yourself. Whatever it takes, you want to utilize your calendar on your phone and your work email, whatever it is, just really start. That's the reason why I like to do this in steps. Don't shotgun and do everything at once, because you easily could put yourself in a position where you make a mistake and all of a sudden you hurt yourself. It's really hard to recover from a late payment, okay, especially a recent one. Debt reduction. This is huge. So let's say you are someone that's coming into the situation and you already have credit cards and your balances are higher on the credit cards. It's very important that, if you're looking at debt reduction, you're going to want to focus on revolving accounts. You don't really need to focus on installment accounts because they're factored differently in the credit score. If your goal is to improve credit scores the quickest, you're going to want to focus on reducing the balances on revolving accounts, because by doing that, you will improve your credit scores the fastest, okay? So that's one recommendation I have for you there. Debt settlement, once again, you're going to want to investigate first, typically, and then settle, right? So it's very important to remember that. The difference is if you have like a judgment already filed against you, you're going to want to address that sooner than later, because they can garnish you, they can levy your bank account, they can seize your tax refund, things like that. So you want to avoid that. So if that's already happened, you're going to want to address it. Or if they're aggressively pursuing you and threatening judgment, you want to address it. If those two things are not happening, nothing really aggressive is happening against you, you have time, and let's work on repair first. Ideally, removing that negative and then settling, okay? That's what you got to remember. And then budgeting. And I bring up budgeting a lot, and I know it's not the most fun. It's like dieting, right? It's not fun. But I'm telling you, my recommendation is this: don't get too crazy where you feel like, like I'll bring up dieting. You decide that I'm going to get super healthy, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to work out every single day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When people, do things like that, typically they fail just because they're making drastic changes in their everyday life. That's very much the same when it comes to credit, debt, and financial and money management. And so I'd recommend to make slow, constant changes. Maybe you start with daily goals, small daily goals, and how you're managing your money. Maybe you stop going to the gas station and buying energy drinks every single day, or instead of buying 3, you buy 2 or 1 or whatever it is. You go to Starbucks less or whatever. Start setting these achievable goals. And I'm telling you, over time, you start training yourself into making better decisions when it comes to money management. Before you know it, you have more money in your bank account. You've brought down balances on your credit cards faster. You're making payments on time. You're maintaining 1 to 3%. I mean, just think about all these positive things that just come from that. Budgeting will help you with that. So don't get crazy at first. Don't go and get out some crazy robust budgeting app right away thinking you're going to use it, because I'm telling you right now, more than likely you're not. Just being real with you. And you want to start making changes over time. And then when you really get into it, I mean, I can help you guys with this. When you get into it, yeah, there's some great budgeting apps out there where you can get crazy with it, but it's not a good time to do that typically at first. You want to start working up to that. That would be my recommendation. It's about constant improvement. It's about consistency. It's about building these habits, okay? Perfect. I'll go last thing, and then I'll answer some questions. I see Sua had a question here. Last thing is mindset, okay? This is the game changer. You got to go into this with the right mindset, right? Motivation. I highly recommend to do whatever it takes to keep you motivated in this process. It is a frustrating process. For almost, I'd say 99% of people, it's frustrating. So stay motivated. Utilize our team. We love to hear from our clients. If you're working with us, we love to keep you motivated. Utilize the Facebook group, right? We love the community in there and the energy and the support. That's what it's a peer-to-peer empowerment group with Credilife backing it with the right type of information to help you. Our videos, or any videos, educational videos that we do, or just positive motivational videos in general, are good. Whatever it takes to continue to keep that mind right, I highly recommend to do that, okay? Accountability. Do not be afraid of accountability. Okay, accountability is going to help you make the changes necessary. Okay, it's our job to hold you accountable. So if you're a client of ours, we're going to hold you accountable. Just being real with you. We work nationwide. We help a ton of people. We've helped thousands of people take back their buying power. A part of that is holding you accountable. It's so powerful. Okay, so don't be afraid of that. Now, if you're not our client directly, utilize the group to help hold yourself accountable. The group is free. Okay, that's why we created it. We want to make sure we can meet people with wherever they're at. We want to help you, okay? And I want you guys to say this right now. You can do it. Everyone can do this. I'm telling you right now, anyone can do this. If you stay motivated, if you hold yourself accountable, and you follow the plan. And you have to understand, as you already noticed in this presentation, it's a multiple pronged approach plan. It's not just credit repair. It's multiple different things that you do at once to get you to your goal, okay? I'm telling you right now, you can do it, but you got to follow the plan, all right? Thank you guys so much. Truly, thank you guys for joining me talking about credit, this evening at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Look at this. I love it. I can do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm telling you, yes, you can. I love it. Once again, I want you guys to see, join our group. I put the link in here. It's free credit repair advice. Join our group. If you haven't already, please join our group. It's free. It's a wonderful community. It's like 56,000 people and growing. It's absolutely amazing. We want to continue to grow that and build that culture, that community. If you are interested in joining Credilife directly, meaning you want to hire us to help you, go to credilifevip.com and you can schedule an initial consultation. The initial consultation is no charge. There's no risk, okay? The whole point of the consultation is for our coaches to understand your specific situation and start developing a game plan that's specific to you and what you're looking to accomplish and what your goals are when it comes back to taking back your buying power. And then we can figure out how we can help you and how to move forward, okay? If you guys have any more questions and you just want to go to our website, check it out. YourCreditLife.com is our website. It's our main company website. Check that out. It has a lot more information on there. And once again, guys, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I hope you guys got a lot of value from this presentation. If you have any specific situation questions, please go to our group and post them in there. You know, our team of professionals will help answer that. We have wonderful moderators that help answer questions that they can answer, but then also point you in the right direction. Whatever it takes, I want you guys to get your questions answered. But I hope that you guys truly enjoyed this this webinar, and thank you guys so much. Oh, there we go. Oh, actually, there's a question. I will answer this question real quick, okay? Casey has a question. What if a creditor refuses to remove info from your credit report because it is against their policy? How does that get fixed? Now, more than likely, and I'm going off assumption, Casey, I'm assuming that you must have either reached out to that creditor directly, whether it be by phone or a letter, and more than likely the verbiage that's being said or used is not right. You know, what you want to do is you want to basically nitpick away at the specific reporting history of the account in a way that's difficult for them to verify. And if they're unable to, that's when the information gets removed. And that's done with the credit bureaus, okay? So a lot of times it's not going to be about, you know, calling the creditor and asking them these things. A lot of times you want to utilize the letter process, the structure of the letter, and utilizing different codes. There's multiple different codes of investigation. You want to utilize that to your advantage to try to remove it that way. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening. Go to our group. Schedule a consult if it's something that you're interested in when it comes to a professional. Otherwise, once again, utilize our group when it comes to DIY and just at least having access to us to keep you accountable and point you in the right direction, or visit our website. And I really hope you guys got a lot out of this. I definitely had a fun time doing this. I'm going to do a lot more of this, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.